I'll keep plugging away. I'll keep plugging away. Am I saving?
Well, hello and welcome to episode 4 of How Do You Brew. My name's Gideon from 00DOY, and with me is the wonderful Alasdair. Alasdair Gorniak, how are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good man.
Good.
So, Ali and I have been, how long have we been friends, Ali? Like 10 years? 11,
Too long.
11 years, maybe? A long time.
Yeah.
Since you
Yeah.
were a wee laddie on a...
And you were a youth leader
Yeah.
shouting at me.
Yeah,
Youth club.
for being naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Always.
about right.
That's fine.
Ali, you run a studio called Woolly Hat Studios.
Yes.
And-
Woolly Hat Recording Studio.
Sorry, Woolly Hat Recording Studios.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for what, two years now?
Yeah, just over 2 years. Yeah, so end of 2018. I started December.
And you play
Yeah.
you play loads of musical instruments as well. Like you play bass guitar and
I play a few. Yeah.
guitar
I sort of
and
just
cello
Mm.
and piano and anything else? Do you play anything else?
what have we said? Maybe a bit of ukulele. Throw that one in there.
Nice.
And yeah, that's it.
Nice. But let's just get onto something really important. Coffee. You're a coffee drinker?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Who isn't?
well, I mean, I've had a guy on here who's like into tea. George was like, "Oh, I drink tea," and we talked about tea. So, you know,
Fair. I can respect that.
so go on, tell me about coffee. How do you make it? What's your process? Do you have a ritual? What kind of
Yeah.
beans? All that stuff. Go for it. Just talk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I know some people have like a morning routine. You know, they sort of, you do this, get out of bed, you make the bed, you go and, I don't know, put the kettle on, then you have a shower. I don't know, whatever. That'd be a quick shower. But I'm not really one for rituals. So most days I'll try to get a coffee, and if I'm just sort of rushing into the studio late, or not late, but just
Does
before
that happen
being on
often?
time.
Do you?
I would say a couple minutes before is when I'm getting out of bed. But I know I can make it work if I don't go for something ridiculous in the coffee realm. So I'm gonna, it's usually a cafetiere style thing,
Okay.
and we just got the pre-ground beans from Tesco. It'll be called the Tesco blend. So
Are
it
you
sounds
joking
rough, but
right
it's,
now? I kind of pegged
No.
you as someone that's got a grinder and beans and.
Well, we do have a grinder and beans, and on the weekend I will go all out and grind some beans. It's not a bird grinder, but maybe I should invest. But yeah, honestly, I'm just a quick, couple of spoonfuls in the cafetiere, get it going, come back to it, when there's a break, reheat it because it's gone cold, and then get going. No, that's how it works.
Oh my goodness, I'm
Yeah.
a bit shocked. I'm a bit shocked.
I'm a bit
Ali.
ashamed, actually. Yeah.
That's not what I had in mind at all. All right,
Mm.
so tell me
Sorry,
about this. Tell me about this Tesco blend, because, like, I mean, supermarket coffee.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds rough. I mean, we're not talking like Sainsbury's basic Weetabix here. These like eternal sponges of milk
Yeah,
style thing. I don't know if you've ever had one of those. You need about 2 pints per Weetabix. but-
eternal sponges of milk. I like that. That's
Yeah.
sort of like a, that could be like a project for somebody. Like a short film, like an international short film.
I think someone should, or if they haven't, it should happen. I actually read an article a couple of years back of this guy who tried lots of different alcohols with cereal, sort of like a boozy cereal. Some uni student, and he gave them like ratings out of 5. And he was, and I just remember scrolling down to where he got to the Weetabix, and he didn't go for the normal Weetabix, which can actually, do pretty well with the milk. He went for the Sainsbury's absorbent Weetabix, and then he put like vodka with them, and
It's just grain on grain. That's literally just like
yeah,
grain on grain.
disgusting. I think it got a 1 star. But anyway, I mean that's the level we talk about really when it comes to. But supermarkets have upped their game. I think in the last couple of years.
There's a lot to compete with, isn't there? There's a lot of really good coffee out there that.
There is. Well, that's true. That is true. We do have some like slightly nicer blends from I don't know, Brazil. There's one from Brazil right now in our cupboard. But Tesco's now do a range from like the strength of 1 to the strength of 5, and as I don't do the shopping, Bethany's gone for the number 3, and I can tell you it's pretty good if you do about double the amount that you'd normally do.
So, but presumably, if you bought like the 5, then you would only need like sort of a normal amount of coffee.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. We might have to try it.
Okay. I mean, maybe I feel like I should be asking you about cereal because that's kind of more of the realm. You're like much more of a cereal kind of connoisseur, aren't you?
Yeah, I've never seen a what's it called, like an item list for a wedding that has cereal dispensers on.
You got them. You got them, didn't you?
I put 6 on ours. Yeah, I did put 6 on ours. So that's the kind of, we got a lot of cereal. And I love to do combinations. I think people treat cereal far too much like people grab a box of cornflakes and they put the milk on and then they're like done. But you know what? It's like that's like level 1 of cooking. It's like when you're a noob, you toast some bread and you put butter on it, maybe if you're adventurous, and then you're like, oh yeah, good meal, or frozen pizza. But a good chef will get loads of ingredients and he'll put it all together like a fine art, and then and the outcomes are a brilliant meal. And people don't look at breakfast, or well, not breakfast. They don't look at cereal like that. People just go for the lazy cornflakes and the milk, where actually you could have 4 or 5 different layers all meshed together.
Have you heard of this place? They used to have a couple of places in London, but I think they're shut down. But they're called Cereal Killers.
Yeah,
I know they've got one in Birmingham that's still open. But have you been there?
Really?
Yeah.
It's still open?
Well, I mean, not at the moment, but like in theory, like
right.
like the Shoreditch and the Camden ones are like permanently closed, and you can just order. But you can buy. I mean, I get adverts on Facebook all the time. I don't really know why, but like it just looks so good. Like all the different like cereals. Basically, in America, they just have good cereal, don't they? That's the rules.
By good, you mean very sugary?
Yeah.
Is what,
I mean,
that's what look really sugary.
That's what makes cereal good. The sugar.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Right. So I prepared some questions. So I asked you about your coffee. Which I'm going to be honest, is a bit disappointing. I really thought because of your barista background and everything, I just thought you would have a bit more kind of something to your coffee. But we'll just gloss over that.
I'm going to hope none of my ex. People I used to work with from coffee shops ever see this, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hoping.
Yeah. It's probably a good idea. Okay, right. So my next question is a record that changed your life. Like, is there one, or I mean, other people I've asked this have had like 4 records. So if you can't narrow it down to one, it's fine. But
what are you doing here, to be honest? Simple question.
Have you got like the one record that like you would say like changed your life?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you sent the questions through, I was like, what a brilliant opportunity to plug someone that I've recorded, but that would just be too arrogant, and everyone would hate me, and they'd all be switching off right now. So I'm not going to do that.
They probably turned off already because of the coffee. Sorry, man.
Well, they probably have, yeah. So it's just you and me, mate, so we can do whatever. To be honest, it's a big question. I went for The Resistance by Muse, a divisive, and it's actually one of their not one of the most popular albums, funnily enough, but Muse was definitely one of the bands that inspired me when I was younger, especially during like secondary school. When I was younger, oh my gosh, I'm like 22 or something, 23, 24. Oh gosh. Anyway, there's gonna be something.
I love it. You're not quite sure how old you are. That's
Yeah. So, it's lockdown. Yeah. No one knows.
It's like eternal Christmas.
Yeah.
So okay, so I mean, I'm not familiar. I liked sort of the first Muse song I heard, which was the one about drowning.
What about drowning?
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't want to sing it as well because it's embarrassing. But
please do. I don't know what you're talking about. Drowning.
Actually, I'm drowning, asphyxiated. I wanna give you up, but I'm addicted. That one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I honestly, I actually saw. I don't know if it's an Enemy. Is that a magazine?
That's a magazine.
I saw an article in there probably about 6 or 7 years ago about the worst rate. They actually gave Matt Bellamy an award for the worst lyrics or the most nonsensical lyrics of any band ever. He was like number one. There was sort of
He
a
does
list.
spout some absolute nonsense though. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I mean, like people say that about Radiohead, but like I feel like Tom York's kind of got something to him that sort of makes it a bit interesting. But I don't know, Matt Bellamy. I'm just not there.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair. It's confusing stuff. Though I do. It's probably because you have a crush on the guy from Radiohead, though, isn't it? And also, Radiohead versus Muse has always been a bit of a Marmite topic, hasn't it? Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say? There's no one that likes Radiohead but doesn't like. There's no one that likes both. Is that true? I think that's true.
Yeah, I think because to like
I'm gonna say
to
that
like
now.
one of the bands you have to have some taste, and to like the other bands you don't. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
which one's which, but I know
No,
which side. I know
controversial.
which side I swing to.
Very goodness. I'm shutting this down already. I'm scared of the next question. Don't ask me about the live show.
I'm joking. Now, what is it about? I can't remember what the record's called now. The Resistance. What is it about the Resistance that you
That's me.
that
Let's get one of these, Gideon.
What's that?
Take notes.
What's that?
Pretty good.
This?
That's a pen. No. Oh, I like that. Actually, I'd prefer one of those. Do you want to swap?
So
Anyway, the Resistance.
tell me about the Resistance.
Yeah. So their albums previous to that had been quite sort of, I don't want to say generic rock, but they'd been very focused on a rock kind of feel and great vocals as people know Muse for. But the Resistance was that plus some more. And I'm going to sound like an old man now, but it had some more like orchestral pull-ins. So they started, not only, and a little bit more electronic-y as well, but not in like sort of cheesy electronically, which controversially I would say they've gone now. But it was a lot more kind of, there was a bit more ambience, there was a bit more strings, there was a bit more, I think they actually ended up recording the Vienna String Orchestra. That's definitely not their name, but
Vienna
orchestra in Vienna.
Ensemble.
Yeah,
String pack.
yeah, string pack. Yeah,
I don't know. It's a plug-in. It's a plug-in.
Yeah. No, no, but they, with a real orchestra, and some really tasty stuff. Yeah, and it definitely got my eyes open a bit from being in this secondary school phase of everything is rock and there's nothing else out of it. So there's actually so there's some nice influences from 100 years ago over here, and there's some influences from more electronic-y vibe, and it just kind of and I think I've always had a bit of a ear to sort of hear the details in the songs, in it more, maybe a producer cap on a bit more.
Yeah.
And I really liked hearing those different elements.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay.
Good album.
And a gig that changed your life.
Yeah. Well, now don't laugh at me. To be honest, mate, I haven't been to loads and loads of gigs. I'm not like someone that rocks up to Reading once a year, shirt off and I don't know, up to his waist in beers. But that does sound nice, actually. It does sound good if anyone wants to invite me. Next time it's open.
I bet you feel too old for Reading these days. It's like whenever I look at the crowds, I'm like, I'm like so much older than everybody else. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Maybe that's what happens when you get married.
Yeah, probably.
You feel old, maybe as well.
Yeah.
So probably the most epic gig I ever went to was seeing Muse at Wembley. Actually, it wasn't Wembley. Having said that, it was the Emirates Stadium in London. But yeah, it was kind of like a culmination of this build up I was sort of talking about through secondary school. And it was right at the end of secondary school. And we just broken up, and that was it. And you're all sort of excited and hyped up for big things. And we ended up going to see Muse on the last couple of months of their tour or whatever. And it was just the most. I don't think I've ever let myself go at a gig as much as I did then. I was like one of those front row sort of screaming kids.
Did you throw your pants for Matt Bellamy?
Well, if I could have got them off, I don't know, but it was really. You're all crushed against the barrier and you can't move, and you're wondering
you can't breathe.
You can't breathe.
And it's
you're
like,
trying to pen your
wheel.
the
best gig of my life. If I could see anything.
Goodbye, Mum. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Someone's sort of gasping for breath behind you, and you're kind of just there. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing, and definitely a culmination of that period up to the end of secondary school of excitement, really.
Cool.
And good music.
And are you scared? Have you been to gigs since, and you're just like, yeah, this isn't as good as Muse at the Emirates?
Well, my music tastes have changed a lot, so you know what? And also it's quite hard to remember what gigs are like now, isn't it?
Yeah.
With this current pandemic,
Yeah.
it's such a foreign thing to think about, gigs and live music. But no, I've been to some good gigs since then.
I love gigs, but it's so fleeting. Like I always forget how fleeting they are. Like
Yeah.
I remember when I was like 17, I bought a ticket to see Shikari, and I was like,
Oh yes.
I had bought it, and I had it like 4 months in advance, and I was like really, really excited and really excited and really excited. And then I went to the gig, and then, you know, they played for an hour and a half, and then I went home, and I was like, oh. And like you just get so excited about something. It's like a holiday, except it doesn't last anywhere near as long, you know. So
it's just kind of the overall mindset of our. My hair's looking crazy like this. Look at that. Check it out.
Nice.
Wow. Sorry, but yeah, it's just like the buying things online mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way more exciting waiting for it, and then you get it and you rip it open, and you're like, oh yes, my HDMI splitter, it works.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Been there.
You know what I mean?
And you're so excited.
Yeah.
I got so excited about a network cable the other day. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
anyway.
Consumerism.
Yeah.
Gideon.
Totally. So your studios is called Woolly Hat Recording Studios.
Yes.
Why did you call it that? Like
yeah.
Does it have a deep philosophical meaning, or you know?
Oh yeah.
Go on.
Massively.
Yeah.
I would get out your theological books for this one.
All right.
Because,
okay.
And strap in. Yeah. So no. It basically it's off the side of the property that we rent. There was an outhouse. There is an outhouse that used to be used as a workshop, and it was built up by the guy that owns it. And he'd use it as a sort of wood workshop, but it was quite a good space. And we moved in, and I was looking for properties to sort of rent in Haslemere to build a studio out of as a business. And you know what Haslemere is like. This area, this Surrey,
Expensive. Expensive.
That's all you have to say.
Yeah.
Top dollar.
Dollar bills.
During the amount of high street shops that have just disappeared during the last few months because of the pandemic, and probably will continue to. And it is actually a theme. I think I read somewhere the other day about 60% of high street shops have closed since like 1995 or something up to this current period. So, and you know, you just have to go down the road, don't you, even to a sort of any sort of city, and you can just see there's boarded up shops. But anyway, I'm waffling. But yeah. So my point is that, you know, High Street is a not a great place. It's not what it used to be, but prices continue to be incredibly high, especially in Surrey. And so I was like, right, well, I could take a massive risk and sort of maybe scrape by for about 4 to 6 months, maybe, if it all sort of goes really well, or we can just sort of, you know, do our best with what we have here. So, I mean, for the first few projects I did, I just literally did that in our house, in our living room. And sometimes it would be clients coming over here, or sometimes I go to people. Do you remember those times where you could visit other people's houses?
Yeah, I mean, I've even been in your studio at least once to do music, and it's like, I mean, it's just mad, isn't it? I can't believe it. I know.
It's so sad. It will come back, won't it? But anyway, I ended up speaking to our renter,
landlord.
Thank you. That's good. And basically said, look, I know you got this, you know, room on the side of our house. It used to be this. Used it for this. Can I put a microphone in there? It's like, yeah, you know, and just do a bit of recording. It's like, yeah, that's fine. And then a few weeks later, I said, oh, you know, it's really nice, but do you mind if I just, you know, the walls, they could do a bit of paint, couldn't they? Can I just pop a bit of, you know, just a bit of paint in the wall? Yeah, you know, do that. And then I think, well, that sort of worked for a bit. And then about a week later, I said, oh, you know, it's great, but it could do with a bit of carpet, actually. And he was like, oh, yeah, go for it. And so basically, over about a period of, I don't know, 3 months, it just sort of built up into what it is now. I'm actually in the studio right now. And it's amazing because I don't have massive overheads, it being part of our property, and our landlord's very understanding. And it's something that I get to use on a daily basis for the business. But your original question, you can cut out as much.
Well, I mean, I'll probably keep it all in because, you know,
I wouldn't.
You're not singing any songs, so.
Oh, well, that's true.
Bulk up the time.
I can sing you a song if you'd like.
Go on.
just
Why
a
is it?
cappella.
Why is it called Woolly Hat?
Yeah, so it was so when we were building it, it was as I said, it opened in December, but it was sort of September to December, that period, and it was absolutely Baltic in here. The walls aren't even the walls. There was gaps you could see through and into the garden through the walls. It's like a wooden structure, sort of half bolted onto the side of the house, but not really.
Yeah.
It's kind of just put there, and maybe use it in the summer months a bit, or and put 14 jumpers on. But we were like, well, this isn't going to work. So we spent a long time with I think it's called Is it called
Polyfiller, yeah.
Oh, that amazing stuff you squeeze out the tube. It's so satisfying. It's like a giant thing. Just imagine your toothpaste, but it's like 4 times as big. And you're just sort of, you feel like an absolute legend. Anyway, so just polyfillered the entire place and then built these sound panels out of rock wool, insulation.
Yeah.
And we built the wooden frames, and it's all very DIY, but it's so
good.
lucky. It's really quiet.
It looks really good. I mean, I'm DIY for life, but it looks great. So had me.
Yeah, and we were wearing woolly hats the whole time.
Yeah,
and that's the short answer to your question.
I like it's a bit of history, a bit of story around the origin of the studio. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Oh,
good.
Right.
Thanks.
I'm just having some problems with my headphones. Cool. So that's that. All right. Tell me. Let's go back. Always go back to talking about music. Tell me about the worst gig that you've ever been to or played, because you played in some bands as well. I mean, you and I have played in bands.
Oh yeah.
Many times.
Oh yeah.
But have you got like a something that like a memory that like sticks out as being like a very bad time for gigs?
I probably, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about ones I'd been part of, but there is one that comes to mind now, and it might be slightly funnier than the other one. So I think it was the last day of not secondary school, the other one, the one before that,
Primary school.
No, it was secondary school. It wasn't the last day then. It was during the summer of secondary school. Yeah, and it was like you're just about to break up, and they'd always do like an end of term like assembly or something. Basically, like a slightly less official show and tell. Whereas if you play guitar, you could go and like play guitar and be cool, and other people would come and play a bit of piano or I don't know, recite a poem. No one did that. But me and my mate Joel Blower and Luke Bassett decided that we would. Oh, and Philip Murch decided we would do a on the cuff rendition of Gay Bar
by Electric Six. Amazing.
By Electric Six.
Amazing.
And it went down like a sack of turds. It was we were having a great time, and there's just this like assembly of everyone in our year and the year above, just like, what are we?
Did they know that you were going to play Gay Bar? I mean, that's quite.
No. Luke didn't know we were going to do Gay Bar till that morning.
Right.
So we roped him in. It was quite off the cuff.
Did anyone? I mean, I can't imagine the teachers
no one knew it.
being very pleased with it.
No, it was. I don't know if you know the song, but
I do. I mean, I've been to see Electric Six.
Have you?
Yeah, I saw that. I've even seen them play Gay Bar live, so I know.
Oh
I know. Do I know
me.
the song? I know the song.
Did you get pointed at by the singer while he was singing off some of those?
No, because
incredible lines.
It was a big crowd, man. It was a big crowd.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do remember him sort of pointing at a teacher and singing a particular line which wasn't particularly endearing, and just feeling really awkward about the whole affair. So there we are. Gay Bar at secondary school was probably the worst performance. Yeah.
It sounds like it was
talk about the other one.
Fun. I mean, you talk about whatever you want. We're go on. Tell me about your other worst gig.
Well, the other one was just one we went to. That's a live show. It was. I don't know if you heard of the band Seafret. Seafret? I don't know. They're just like, I would say they're a bit like Ben Howard-esque.
Okay.
A little bit.
So like,
please don't.
Like acoustic,
Acoustic-y.
folky.
Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the music wasn't bad. I was living in Carlisle and with about 3 other people about my age, and they'd all come from Brazil to do some like gap year type thing. And they hadn't quite got a figure of local economy and the exchange rate and stuff like that. And we were in Carlisle. We need to get to Edinburgh. And so we're like, oh, okay, it's easy. We'll just, we'll book a hire car. And so this lovely girl, Deborah, ordered, rang up. It wasn't, I can't remember what it's called. Easy. No, it's the one with the green on it. Something car. Easy. I keep thinking Ringo,
like
but that's the parking thing.
It's E something. I can see it in my head. I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, you hired a car.
Hire car, yeah. And so we were like, oh, that'd be fine. We'll just let her do that. She seems pretty capable. And sort of jumped in the car and went off. And we didn't realise also she hadn't driven in this country since she got from Brazil, and she'd only just passed a test. And so we're rounding sort of the second corner in Carlisle, just trying to get out of the city, and she just curbs it. Just instantly curbing our hire car. And we're all just sort of panicking, like, oh my gosh. But we got this gig to go to, so we sort of bundled off to Edinburgh. And it was only when we got to the actually just the outskirts of Edinburgh we realised this is not going to be good now, because I think it was like the other side, and there's lots of roundabouts, and she's already nervous. We've curbed this hire car, but we're already thinking, oh, this is going to be steep. It was like a really nice car, actually. I think that was half the problem. She had no idea what she was doing. So we ended up sort of just about making it to the gig, and we got in really late. So when you get there really late and you're sort of the last ones in, and it's really full.
Yeah. And
the people are all the way at the side of the room, and you've sort of got at the back. And all I can remember is it was just really, really hot. There was nowhere to put your like jumper and your clothes and whatever. So it was really warm. Doors shut from behind. Horrible. It was just horrible, stickly horrible. Couldn't take my jumper off or anything to put it anywhere because there's nowhere to put it. And we just sort of got through that, and that was kind of okay. I didn't love the band. They're okay, but it was more because my other Brazilian friend Mateus really liked Seafret, and he was one of those guys that was like, oh, I've come all the way to the UK. I just want to do everything. I want to do everything, man. Going to see the London Eye, go and do this. I'm going to go to Paris. He actually ended up going to see Bastille a month later.
Yeah. And
in Edinburgh as well. And he got there and he watched the first two like pre bands. What are they called? Like
support artists.
Support band. And then just as Bastille were coming on, he checks his phone and his train's going in 5 minutes, and it's the last train. And so he was like, well, I'm gonna sleep on the bench. And then he thought about it, was like, I'm not gonna sleep on the bench. And so these tickets were like 90 quid or something. And so he ends up getting on the train, having seen the two support bands for Bastille, and he never saw the gig. It's just, that was the life, man.
Well, I mean, it could be worse because he could have actually seen Bastille. So I think, dodged the bullet there, really.
He was actually gutted for like 2 weeks after.
Oh man.
But anyway, Seafret, yeah. So we sort of, I thought it was bad enough, and we got back, and the bill for the hire car was extortionate because we dented the wheel, what's it called, the thing in the wheel,
like the wheel,
and there was and there was scratches at the on the side panels all the way up, all on the bottom. What's it called? The skirting. That's the one. And it was absolutely it was just a bad experience. So
and it wasn't even. It sounds like the gig wouldn't have even been that bad if you just got there a bit earlier and just.
Yeah, and maybe if I'd booked the car or something,
caught the train, or
caught the train. Yeah, never gone to Carlisle.
Yeah,
tuned in live stream.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that. That's a really fantastic story. I look forward to all of the people that you mentioned in it watching this and telling you that you shouldn't have told this story. Just one more question then. Can you tell me a bit about the music that you produce, like when you're working with a client, and what's your favorite thing to work on? Sure. Tell me something a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. To be honest, I wasn't really sure what I was going to get in Haslemere when we started it up, because there is a music scene here, but I don't ever remember seeing like loads of bands and stuff. Maybe you get some bands that like there's like a local event called Lionfest. Lionfest. You'll be very familiar with that, obviously. But for people who have never lived here, which is kind of like they pull in cool bands from times gone by. So I think they had Scouting for Girls.
It was like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I think that might have been the
maybe
last
even
time it
3
actually
years
happened.
Ago.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And then they just have a splattering of unsigned, few signed, and stuff like that. But they've always got the main headline, which is always a band that was really good about 10 years ago. So there we go. So that's basically, you know, if that's your thing, Wayfest, Lionfest, get involved. But what's the question? What's the question?
What kind of music do you like to work on? Like, what?
Oh, yeah,
what,
there we go.
You know, what do you work on? What's your favorite thing to work on?
Thank you, reining me in on my tangent here. But yeah, so most of the people that actually ended up coming to the studio, you know, most of my clients are singer-songwriters, and so, you know, I was all set up with the drum kit in the corner, guitars on the wall, amps ready to go, and then, you know, and almost every single person that I've ended up actually landing a project with has been a singer-songwriter, and actually I found it really nice because it's meant that instead of it just being these people come, you know, these individuals come in and just sort of, you know, play a bit and then go, and then I do all the work on my own behind the scenes. It actually means that most of the time I'm sitting there with the artist who's brought in a piano and a vocal track that they've made in their bedroom, or you know, a guitar and a vocal track, and they're going to me, oh, you know, this is really nice, we've recorded it, they're really happy, but I want it to sound like this, and then they'll get up their Spotify page, get up their artist, you know, and hit play on Billie Eilish, or hit play on, I don't know, Lana Del Rey or Ed Sheeran, and I'll go, okay, all right, so what, let's start listening. Let's all, you know, and we'll start picking out the instruments and the sort of production that those people have, and almost just like work together with the artist to create a sort of additional production around what they've done until it sounds a bit more, you know, until it sounds produced and almost a bit radio ready, which is
so
really fun actually.
Sounds like you've got a real like method for like, you're not just like a mix engineer sitting behind the console pressing play and record and stop, but that you're actually like sitting down and going like, what will serve the track and that kind of thing. So
absolutely,
that's cool.
Yeah, and it allows me to be really creative as well.
Yeah,
and I actually get to play on the tracks and the creative side, which is actually really fun because I mean, you know, some people do just press record and they're engineers and they set up and stuff, and that's great. But I really enjoy the creative side as well. And I'm kind of lucky to be able to get to do that with some really cool people. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I kind of reached the end of all the things I was going to ask you. Just can you tell me like maybe just some information about where we can find your information about you, how we can get in contact with you? Say we live in the Surrey area and we think, wow, you know, Alasdair sounds like a great person to work with. How can they do that?
Yeah, I'd say most of my sort of contact details you could find on Facebook or Instagram. I've got a website as well, www.woollyhatstudio.
I'll put it in the bottom here. It will just like come up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Facebook page is facebook.com/woollyhatrecording, and that's the same for Instagram as well.
Yeah, nice.
Same for Instagram, and so yeah, you can hear examples on the website, and I always post links to Spotify and iTunes or Apple Music on Facebook and Instagram as well. So
that's great.
Go check it out.
Well, Ali, thank you so much for joining me and talking about stuff. It's always a pleasure. Any kind of final words of wisdom you want to give for the viewers at home before we sort of say goodbye for now?
Final words of wisdom. I had a guy come in to record it was like a radio, something for Radio 4, and he was like some big producer from like 30 years ago, and he worked with Donna Summers and stuff like that. Anyway, he was really like, you know, those people that are like really cool and they know it, you know, but he's like 70. And he's 70, but he's wearing the most outrageous shirts and trousers and stuff like that. And you know, stuff that you'd be really embarrassed if you saw your granddad wearing, but he's doing it because he's cool. He's cool. Anyway, and he was like really cool on the radio, quite like friendly, really like excited about the studio. And he walked out and after the thing, but then he sort of like stopped in the doorway, did like a little double take, turned around, and he just said, "Keep writing hits." And then he just walked out.
Wow, that's amazing. So, that's amazing advice.
Keep writing hits. I mean, I haven't written any hits, but I think just the ethos of keep writing, because, you know, for every bad bunch of tracks there'll be a nugget in there. So keep writing music. Yeah, keep being creative, especially during lockdown. So
Yeah.
really important.
Amazing. Right. Thank you, Ali. I'm going to end the interview here. Yeah. Thanks, Ali, and
Thank you.
I'll catch up with you soon.